Welcome to Root Words with Freddie Jesus. We're delighted to have you this evening. Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
having Freddie present to us, and I am just going to turn the session over to Freddie. If you have any comments or questions, please use that chat feature that is at the right-hand side of your panel. And if you want to move that out of your way from the screen, if it's blocking your view, up at the top, you'll see a red arrow pointing to the right. And if you'll click that red arrow, it will move that over to the side and out of your way. So welcome, Freddie. We're delighted to have you with us this afternoon. Could you just go ahead and get us started into our tour of root words?
Thank you, Pam. Root words, developing literacy skills in young students. Literacy there it is. Literacy is like a braid of interwoven threads. The braid begins with the intertwining threads of oral language and stories. As children experiment with putting ideas on paper, a writing thread is woven in as well. As children move into reading, the threads of literacy begin to bond. Children and students' growing knowledge of spelling and orthography strengthens the bonding. The size of the threads and the braid itself becomes thicker as this knowledge grows. This is literacy. We as teachers want children to become fully literate. This goal is absolutely dependent on fast, accurate recognition of words and their meanings in text, and fast, accurate productions of words in writing so that readers and writers can focus their attention on making meaning. Letter-sound correspondences, phonics, spelling patterns, high-frequency word recognition, decoding, word meaning, and other attributes are the basis of written word knowledge. As teachers, we want to design a word study program that explicitly teaches children necessary skills, engages their interests, and motivates them to learn. We know how words work together. It can be a vital part of any literacy program. As teachers, we want to teach students these basics in an effective manner, as well as allowing for them to have fun learning. Our focus today is on one of these attributes, or one part of this written word knowledge. Our focus is on root words. Students need a phonics, spelling, and vocabulary program that is characterized by explicit skill instruction, a systematic scope and sequence, as well as repeated practice. Students need hands-on opportunity to manipulate word features in a way that allows them to generalize beyond just isolated individual examples to entire groups of words that are spelled that way. It cannot just be memorization of isolated rules and definitions. The best way to develop fast and accurate perception of word features is to engage in meaningful reading and writing and have multiple opportunities for students to examine those same words in and out of context. The most effective instruction of phonics, spelling, and vocabulary link word study to opportunities for hands-on practice and application. I always recommend about 15 minutes of instruction and practice daily. So what is a root word? Let's look at what that is. Root words are a root or base word or word part from which other words grow. Now, this usually occurs through the addition of prefixes or suffixes. So let's look further. Our first type is prefixes, and they are a word part that goes before the root word or the base word. In primary elementary students, they'll often work with prefixes like re, dis, pre, un, and miss. These are the most common ones. So how can we integrate them into a comprehensive word root series of lessons and activities? First, we want to systematically introduce each prefix and 6 to 8 base words. We want to feature activities that connect back to word meaning. This allows students to practice words with the prefix meaning. A few examples of this activity might be vocabulary or word study notebooks. You could give a template or model in the notebook. Students could write the prefix, the meaning, and examples with drawings. You could also set up bulletin boards and charts made with the focus prefix or prefixes. Next, look for category games, where students are making the words and determining base word and prefix and how they fit. Examples of this could be word wheels, word swords, or board games that allow students to make new prefix words. Another kind of game could utilize a deck of cards. The base words listed on the cards can be made into a deck. Students can use prefixes to match the base word. You can give a list of allowable words to handle disputes. You'll also notice that prefixes with re make twice as many words as others. Soon, your students will be able to recognize and locate prefixes in their daily lives. Students can be detectives on the hunt for the learned prefixes as they go through their academic day, pointing out words utilized in songs, books read, or signage. Finally, students will be ready to apply what they've learned. This is where students are using and applying the words prefixes into sentences and writing. The Florida Center of Reading Research, or fcrr.org, is an online resource with many application activities. When you get to the website, you go to the student activities, and there's a range of activities for most learner levels. I've used this resource especially with my third grade students. Bingo and matching definitions to words, as well as embedding prefixes in their writing, students will master this vocabulary in no time. Next, the next type of affix that we'll look at is the suffix. It's a word part that goes after the root or base word. Suffixes like less, full, and ly, ly, are common for primary elementary students. So how can we integrate them into a comprehensive word root series of lessons and activities? Again, just like with prefixes, we'll systematically introduce suffixes with that suffix with 6 to 8 base words. We want to feature activities that connect back to the word meaning. And just like prefixes, this will allow the students to practice words with the word and suffix meaning. A few examples are using the vocabulary notebook or the word study notebook. Again, you can use a template or model for the notebook. Students write the suffix, the meaning and examples, and add drawings. You can add charts or bulletin boards to have the focus suffix displayed. You want to then move to category games. This is where students are making words and fitting the suffix to the base word. You can make a deck of cards listing the suffixes and base words into the deck. Another type of activity is utilizing a paper plate with 3 categories in it. You can label the index cards, and the students can sort them based on the base word and the suffix and put their words together. You could pair students with the deck of base cards, and as they each have their turn, they can be motivated to use cups to build a pyramid if they match it correctly to their suffix. Other category games include word games, word sorts, and word wheels. We just want the children making words. Some students are able to recognize and locate suffixes in their daily lives. Students can be detectives as they hunt for learned suffixes throughout their academic day. They may point out words as they see them in songs or books that are read or signage. And finally, we look for students to apply what they've learned. This is where students will use prefixes, suffixes in their sentences and their writing. Again, the Florida Center of Reading Research is an online resource with a lot of application activities. Bingo and matching definitions to words as well as embedding suffixes in their writing. Students will master this into their vocabulary in no time. Next, let's look at comparative suffixes. Comparing things can be so fun for primary students. We're introducing them to suffixes ER and EST. There's a children's book I like to use to introduce this idea of comparison. It's Pig, Pigger, and Piggest by Rick Walton. Teachers can also utilize YouTube videos and look for short clips where actors are comparing two items, adding ER, or comparing 3 or more things, adding EST. Be sure that you preview them ahead of time so there are no surprises. You can involve the children too. Have 2 children stand up and compare their height. Then add the third student of varied height to make the comparison with EST. For example, Patrick is shorter than Henry, ER, but Eva is the tallest, EST, of the 3. Students show understanding with 2nd and 3rd graders. As children are looking, you'll see their range of ability change also. 1st graders may write one-word phrases, while 2nd and 3rd graders would write 1 to 2 or 3, even more sentences. So looking at activities, children could really enjoy choosing comparative suffixes to illustrate and demonstrate their written understanding with this activity. They can divide their paper into fourths. The front fourth represents a single small snake. Students write a statement about the snake. For example, the blue snake is large. When they open the foldable to half size, they'll have 2 snakes with an ER statement like, the red snake is larger than the blue snake. Finally, they'll open the page all the way to reveal a drawing of many snakes, but one will be the largest of all. So the sentence might be, the yellow snake is the largest of all. Now looking at the picture, you can see that here for 1st grade, they're just comparing animals that are fast, faster, and fastest. So you can see the writing is adapted to the appropriate grade level. Let's look at inflected endings themselves. This is where students will add ing, ed, or just s to the end of root words. This addition to the root word begins in oral language in preschool. In those years, inflected endings change the number and the tense of the base word. It includes s, ed, and ing. These endings do not change the meaning, or the part of speech. Students will be very engaged, completing word sorts and learning about present, past, and future endings. This is where teachers can integrate their language arts and social studies curriculum. Another easy way to integrate social studies curriculum with language arts is to have students learn about history, timelines, and practice reading timelines, as well as increments of time. These are just a few ideas of how to incorporate the inflected endings. While first grader timelines may be basic words, second grader and third grader timelines would be increasingly more complex. A final suffix is the inflected ending. This is where, in grammar, students would add ing, ed, and s to the root word or base words. So how can we help students look and analyze all of these rules and spellings? We can do this through a systematic explicit teaching, starting with the concrete and moving to abstract. Most students can learn utilizing vocabulary, notebooks, and word patterns each week. Students begin with a focus on specific rules. Next, the children are practicing the manipulation of the base word with the suffix. Finally, students move to the application part, where they analyze the suffixes within the sentences and what their meaning is. The hope is that this will carry over into the students' writing. So where do we get started? Activities that teach word patterns with root words begin with stations and centers. This is an adaptable list of common items that teachers could adjust and rotate the pattern or words to the activities, and it ranges from primary to intermediate students. So where does a teacher begin when it comes to centers for word study? While you can spend a lot of money on pre-made items, you can also look for common items around the house or at Target or the local store. And then these items could be used over and over again. So activity suggestions could be word sorts. Students are given a list of base words with inflected endings, and they must group them into the right category. Play-Doh and wiki sticks are great ideas for this. Students can work on their fine motor skills and finger strength by rolling Play-Doh into snakes and using the snakes to make each word. Wiki sticks can be shaped to form the letters within the word. Wiki sticks also kind of have a sticky feeling for those students with sensory needs. Tweezers sort and make. Younger students who need to work with fine motor skills can build words with tweezers and plastic letters or puff balls. You'll notice on our screen, we also added tiny cups and plates to sort and stack, or even stamps. Children who are moving to second and third grade will enjoy more complex stations. Some activity ideas include pyramid cups. Students pair up with a partner and trade off using these as they match the word or spell the word with their suffix or prefix or affix ending. Word wheels, you can make with the prefix on the top wheel, and there's a box, and next to it, you'll see the base words show through. Place sorts. Using suffixes, base words, and prefixes, categories are there where they can make and manipulate and construct words. Whiteboards. Students can write out words and sentences with dry erase markers and use tissues to clean off the board when they're finished. These are all activities that can be utilized with multiple word patterns within word study centers. These supplies can be easily adapted from kinder all the way up through 3rd grade. Resources to continue learning about root words include, but they're not limited to, books to read to students, such as Pre and Re, Miss and Dis, What is a Prefix? By Brian Cleary. Full and Less, and Ness, What's a Suffix? By Brian Cleary. Words Their Way is an excellent resource for the beginning teacher. You can assess student needs, and it's written by Donald Baer. It has research-based word lists, activities, game templates, and it will help with the progression of instruction. An online resource is the Florida Center of Reading Research, fcrr.org. This resource comes with many application activities. Once you're on the website, you go to Student Activities, and there's a range of things the learner can do at many levels. This can range from being a kindergarten teacher to help those kinders all the way up through 4th or 5th grade. The activity and application games are great for 2nd or 3rd grade students. From prefixes to inflected endings to suffix comparatives, root words can be fun and engaging for students and an important part of the word study program. The most effective instruction of phonics, spelling, and vocabulary link word study to text being read, scope and sequence of word level skills, and then provide multiple opportunities for hands-on practice and application. Thank you so much. Special thanks to the Florida Center of Reading Research, Words Their Way, Brian Cleary, and Rick Walton. Thank you.